that the Office of Equity and Diversity has hosted the celebration of achievement for multicultural students who are graduating from the University of Minnesota. This tradition has touched many lives and will continue to do so. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Nancy Rusty Barcelo, Vice President and Vice Provost of the Office of Equity and Diversity. Dr. Barcelo is a national leader who has demonstrated her leadership abilities and commitment to multiculturalism in higher education. She holds a Ph.D. in higher education administration from the University of Iowa and has more than 30 years of experience in promoting diversity and multiculturalism in higher education. We are excited to have such a profound leader at the university, and undoubtedly she is transforming the university to be one of the top 3 public research institutions in the world. Please give me a warm welcome to our guest, Dr. Rusty Barceló.
Thank you very much for that warm introduction. This is a wonderful gathering of humanity in this room. In about 10, 15 years, I think this entire university one day might look like this because it truly has grown in the 4 years that I've been here. So on behalf of the University of Minnesota, I want to welcome each and every one of you, graduates, families, and friends, to the University of Minnesota for its celebration, and congratulations to the graduates. And again, I'm especially pleased to look out at this community and see such a rich multicultural tapestry. It's especially gratifying for me to be here with you because we've met before when I welcomed you at the Multicultural Welcome event 4 years ago. I said then that I looked forward to seeing you on the day that you graduated. Today, we're completing that circle. That's the beauty of this event. There's both closure and continuity, both coming back and moving forward as we celebrate with family, friends, faculty, and staff this new milestone in your lives. But before you proceed, I would like to thank the most important group that's here today, family and friends. And I thank you for entrusting your loved ones to us during their journey through higher education. And I hope that they have grown into the young professionals that you hope they would become, and that they would be very special in all of who they are. And we thank you for your continued support that brought them to this very point in their lives. Let's give them a round of applause, your family and friends. I also would like to thank the deans and other representatives of the colleges who've been by my side since the beginning when I arrived here 4 years ago, partnering with us to bring our vision for equity and diversity into your lives and into the lives of this institution. I want to pay special tribute to our keynote speaker, Dr. Lester Monts, my dear colleague, and also a treasured friend that you will learn more about in a few minutes. But most of all, I want to thank you, members of the class of 2010, for making our university a better place. You've made an enormous difference here. Some of you may not know this, but in a way I'm also graduating because I'll be leaving the University of Minnesota in June. This is my last graduation ceremony at the University of Minnesota, and I am filled with many emotions. In a few weeks, I'll be leaving the university to assume the presidency of Northern New Mexico College, a move that will take me back to my deepest roots in the Southwest. Thank you. But you know, it's also taking me away from my Minnesota community and away from my extended University Minnesota family, which very much includes the people in this hall. So this is a bittersweet moment for me, but also a moment of deep reflection. I've been thinking that in so many ways, despite the years between us, we're in a similar place, and you and I have traveled parallel and intersecting paths. We arrived here in 2006, bringing our dreams and aspirations with us. And now, as we graduate together, we can look back on what we've accomplished and forward to what lies ahead as we move on to something new, with both the anxieties and the excitement of facing the unknown. I may be ahead of you in years and experience, but over the past 4 years, we have grown and changed together. And as I reflect on those years, I see how much of what I have learned has come from you. I have worked with people across the university to help create a university that would embrace and support all of who you are. And by telling us what you think and what you care about, by sharing your accomplishments, by engaging actively in student life, in the classroom, and by sharing your stories and life's lessons, you have joined me in this work. You've helped change the culture of the university from within and helped clear the path for the next generation of students. You've helped us widen the circle of inclusion and think more deeply about what it really means to commit ourselves to diversity as a core value. So you've moved us closer to realizing our vision. And I know you've traveled far since I welcomed you to the University of Minnesota 4 years ago. And now that you've reached the crest of the hill you began to climb that day, I want you to know that I've climbed that hill with you every step of the way. The late writer and good friend of mine, Gloria Anzaldúa, once said that we are turtles and we carry our home on our backs. When I think about what that means, I know that it isn't just about ancestral homes, which we carry with us throughout our lives. It's about the homes and families we acquire on our journey. So even though I'm leaving Minnesota, I want you to know that wherever you go and wherever I go, whether you find yourself on the other side of the globe or right here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, or in New Mexico, we are always part of the same University of Minnesota family. So wherever you go from here, I hope that when you look back in the months and years ahead, you will remember your university experience with joy and pride. And I'm going to skip some of this because I'm going to get a little bit too emotional here, so I'm just going to move on. You know, I'd like to tell you a story that I think is really, that I actually shared last week at New Mexico State. And one of the things that I said is that I could not remember being this excited about something new in my life, and I realized that I was excited like this once before, or twice before, when I started college as the first in my family to go to college, and when I graduated as the first in my family. And what I remember when I went away to college, my father, my mother told me, stayed up all night to write me a letter. And he handed me this letter when he dropped me off at Chico State. And it was entitled, "The Superior Person." And the last line said, "Always aspire to ascend. Be careful not to fall back." Now what he really meant, it wasn't just about following a career ladder, because if you read the whole letter, it was about be true to yourself. Remember where you came from, that you didn't get here alone, and that if you waver in that, there will always be those around you in your community to bring you back. So I want to share that message with you, to always aspire to ascend, always remember who you are, where you came from, and it will help you move forward in new ways. I wish each and every one of you the very, very best, and I look forward to hearing about your future successes as you move through the future graduate and professional work or onto your careers. But if you ever find yourselves in New Mexico, we have a saying, "Mi casa es tu casa." So I look forward to staying connected. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Dr. Barcelos, for such beautiful words. I remember my freshman year when I came here, I heard her first speech, and she said she was in Iowa, and she was the only person who looked like herself. And she said her mother told her, "You're Mexican. Where there is one, there is many." And she said she didn't understand what that meant in Iowa. I bet you're going to understand what that means in New Mexico. But I'm so privileged to have had her in our lives and have had her on our side for the past 4 years. So I'm sad to see you go, but I'm happy to see you prosper. So the university's commitment to diversity in all of its forms is inclusive of the arts. We are always excited to discover individuals and groups on and off campus who are gifted artists. This afternoon's Saran Bushi dance will perform a famous traditional song and dance derived from fishermen in Hokkaido, the northern part of Japan. So. Thank you, Saran Bushi Dance. It's kind of nice. Just wouldn't want to go to the club with them, you know, it's kind of take up a lot of space. It is my pleasure, excuse me. It is my pleasure to introduce our undergraduate student speaker, Nelson Vang. He is graduating with a bachelor degree in civil engineering and from the Institute of Technology. Nelson, can you get on up here so talk about you?
Thanks, Crystal. Can everyone hear me? Okay. All right. Good evening and Nyajong. Sorry. And Nyajong to all graduates, parents, family, and friends. Again, my name is Nelson, and I am honored to be speaking in front of you all tonight. I would like to introduce myself to those who don't know me already. I am a 2006 St. Paul Harding High School alumni, and I graduated from the Institute of Technology with a Bachelor of Civil Engineering. I am involved with the Multicultural Excellence Program and the Civil Engineering Concrete Canoe Team, and I am also the former fundraising chair for the U's American Society of Civil Engineers. I started my journey here at the U as a post-secondary enrollment options, or PSEO student, during my senior year in high school. The transition was a bit difficult for me, since I didn't have a real first-year orientation like most of you did during your freshman year here. I commuted, and I remember my dad dropping me off behind Kaufman on my first day. I was nervous about losing my way around campus, what to expect from my classes, and who I was going to meet during my first week. It was frightening, but also I was anxious and excited about what the university had to offer me and what extraordinary things I will learn and accomplish in the next 4 years here at the University of Minnesota. One of the big challenges that I faced here was transition. As most of you may have experienced, transitioning to the U is not easy, and it requires a lot of putting your foot through the door and pushing yourself to work hard. The Multicultural Center for Academic Excellence helped make some of these transitions a bit easy for me by being the place on campus that I used for help with homework and finding resources in need of a mentor or tutors, or just a place to eat my lunch and nap. And for those who don't know already, it also served many of the diverse minority groups on campus. This I want to give MCAE my thanks to, and for hosting tonight's event. Now, in some cases, we're required to make some tough transitions. Looking back at my freshman and sophomore years, I thought that it was hard transitioning into my books and becoming interested in my classes. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't a bad student, I had good grades, but it was that learning was becoming a chore. I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it. So I found myself staying up all night, consuming copious amounts of caffeine and desperately looking for help. I'm sure some of you may have experienced the same symptoms of college life. You tried really hard and you told yourself that you'll study really hard over the weekend, but then other obligations come along and you find yourself in a coffee shop on Sunday evening doing a week's worth of assignments. This was me, but not everyone run on the same battery, and not everyone will push themselves to work hard for the same thing. By pushing myself and getting help, I quickly enjoyed learning the things in my class and in my major and became more resilient. The ability to get back up on your feet after an adversity, such as failing an exam or have been discouraged by someone or something. It's all about setting a goal and finding the right way to transition yourself into it. Now here's a heads up. Once finals are over in a few weeks, you'll have to set new goals and make way for another transition, whether it's going to involve books and learning, working, or just bumming around until something comes along. Make sure to seek the help you need to bring yourself to success and to work hard to make those accomplishments. You all sitting here tonight is a huge accomplishment to yourselves, and I'm sure to your families and communities. 4 years is not easy, and I would like to applaud us all for what we've accomplished thus far. Keep in mind that it's called commencement. This is just the beginning of your career and education, whether you'll be seeking for a job or pursuing a higher degree. Aim high and set goals for where you would like to see yourself in the next 10 years. It's incredible how fast time flies by. That's 4 great years behind us now. On a last note, The staff of the university's multicultural organizations gave their time to help and support you through your journey here at the U. So remember to give back to your community and your school. We're all a small population of the campus community, so become involved and volunteer your time to help make someone else's transition be just as easy. Good luck and congratulations, class of 2009-2010. Nyajong.
It is my pleasure to introduce our graduate student speaker, Mesfin Najia. Mesfin graduated in January of 2010 with a master's degree in biological science. During his stint at the university, he has been an assistant researcher in the neurosurgery department and the Masonic Cancer Center. Since graduation, Mesfin has been working in Dr. Richard Bianco's lab as a postgraduate researcher at the neurosurgery department at the University of Minnesota.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you first of all, I would like to thank the committee for giving me this chance to present the speech on behalf of graduate students. I feel deep privileged to stand in front of you. Congratulations, dear graduates. This day is a special day to celebrate the hard work we put into our studies here at the U of M. It's a special day for all of us. As the title of our event, Multicultural, says it all, we are celebrating the achievement of graduate students with diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds. We are minority groups. Look around you, around the room. We are all different, but we are represented as minorities. We are not minorities. We are diverse and beautiful people. I once said, by the way, I came to the United States in 2001, and I had to find out that I'm black. Yeah. East Africa is where I'm from, Ethiopia. So, almost 99.9% of the population there is black. So, you don't think yourself as black. And once I am here, I had to fill out several forms. And as you know, it says, I was looking for where it says Ethiopian, but there was none. So I have to be black. Oh, okay, I'm black now. God knows that I had to learn a whole lot of other things, some good, some not. As you know, the ladder of success is not as smooth as it looked. We all had to climb the high road of success. Now we are so close to sniffing the fruit of our success, we might forget the hardship we went through our academic stay here at the U of M. I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure life easier for the next multicultural students, so that the hardship we went through shouldn't be their fate too. Let's nurture, let's nurture our children, younger siblings, nieces and nephews who look up to us and looking for guidance. We have to pave the road for the next generation of professionals from our community. We gotta make sure the next generation of multicultural students will walk an easier road than we did. Simply said, we have the moral obligation to be a big brother, a big sister for the next generation of this beautiful, diversified group of students. As Nelson already said, let's go back to our community and encourage students towards their successful future. Graduates, the opportunity of leadership is ahead of us. In 2041, it's projected that no one ethnic group is going to be a majority in the United States. We're going to be a nation of several minority groups. Because of this, we need to make sure we are up to the challenge of being visionary leaders of tomorrow. If we work together, there is no reason that we won't be up to the challenge. Yes, we are different, but by no means we are inferior. On the other hand, it's our obligation to keep our peaceful movement in seeking justice. I'm sure you have seen unfair treatment in the past. Now we're out of here. The challenge could be more. It's okay to speak out against mistreatment because of racism or any other sort. One of my personal heroes, Dr. Ben Carson, an African-American pediatric neurosurgeon at Johns Hopkins, he was faced with a racist patient who requested another doctor, a white doctor. He did politely say, "No problem, I'll get you another doctor." Later, Dr. Carson was asked why he didn't tell the patient that he's a competent physician. Dr. Carson said, "The problem is with the racist person. It is not with me. Why would I make his problem my problem?" So let's not kid ourselves. Racism exists, but what we're gonna do with it makes a big difference. Let's be smart approaching such sensitive issues as race. It's never okay to let go. We are equal and should demand nothing less. We should never be abashed to seek our rights. While we were at the university, here at the university, we knew what's expected of us, a well-structured coursework and research. But what expects us out in the workplace could be unpredictable. Whenever we are faced with uncertainty, let's stay focused and make the right choice. Dear graduates, you made your loved ones, your community, and the university at large proud by successfully completing your studies. For those of you who complete undergraduate studies and would like to further education, don't be afraid of graduate school. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. You can do it. For those of us who are looking for a job, even if the employment situation is dismal, I wish you all the best of success in your endeavor of searching jobs. Graduates, once again, I would like to emphasize the paramount role we play in guiding the next generation and be ready for the leadership role ahead of us. I'm sure we all want many more this diversified group of multicultural students in the university across the country and in the workplace. Once again, congratulations to all of us. God bless you all. Thank you.
We have Latanya Ellerby. That's Ellerby. Okay, and she's going to delight us with a violin performance. That was amazing. And I just want y'all to know I heard her before the show. Like, she does Lady Gaga and Tupac. Like, she does it all. And now for our keynote speaker. Lester Monts is the University of Michigan's Senior Vice Provost for Academic Affairs, Senior Counselor to the President for the Arts, Diversity and Undergraduate Affairs, and an Arthur F. Thurno Professor of Music. He received his bachelor's in music education from Arkansas Polytechnic College, a master's degree in trumpet performance from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and a doctorate in musicology from the University of Minnesota. As the Senior Vice Provost, he works with the Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs on matters related to budget, tenure and promotion, enrollment, and a broad range of academic issues. He oversees operations of 15 academic units, ranging from admissions and financial aid to military office education. Dr. Monts is past chair of the College Board's Board of Trustees. He has also served on the College Board's Academic Assembly Council as Midwestern Regional Representative and Chair. He has been a consultant to the Association of American Colleges and Universities, the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, the American Council of Education and National Endowment for Humanities, the Tubman Center of African Culture, and the Steven Spielberg/DreamWorks production of the movie Amistad. Dr. Monts has focused his scholarly research on musical and cultural systems among the Vai people of Liberia, and is regarded as one of the world's leading scholars on music and culture in the Guinea Coast region of West Africa. In addition to writing books, he has published a scholarly journal and presented his research at the conferences of many national and international groups. A former professional trumpeter, Mr. Monts has performed with numerous orchestras, including the Minnesota Orchestra and the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, the Santa Barbara Symphony, and the Santa Barbara Chamber Orchestra. He has also served as principal trumpet for the Allegheny Summer Music Festival and the Music Festival of Arkansas. Dr. Monts has membership in African Studies Association, the Society of Ethnomusicology, the Liberian Studies Association, and the College of Music Society. He is the past chair of governing board of the University of Michigan International Institute, a member of the governing board and research associate of the International Center for African Music and Dance, and a former member of both the advisory board for the School of Education at Eastern Michigan University and the visiting committee for the Department of the Music at Harvard University. So yeah, he's busy. Which is why we are so privileged to have him. Without further ado, please welcome Dr. Lester Monts.
Good evening. And Crystal, I want to thank you for that wonderful introduction. It was quite lengthy. But you left out a couple of things that I think this audience needs to know about. First and foremost, I was president of my third grade class 2 years in a row. But anyway, it is a real pleasure to be back here at the University of Minnesota. This is my alma mater, and I am very proud of that. The campus has changed. The town has changed. I came to the University of Michigan 35 years ago to work on a doctoral degree in ethnomusicology. This is a wonderful place. You should be very proud of what you have accomplished here. I'm very proud of that. This is the place where I learned about African music. This is the place where I studied with one of the greatest trumpet teachers in this country, Charlie Schluter. This is the place where I cut my professional eye teeth, freelancing here in the Twin Cities area, performing with the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, performing with the Minnesota Orchestra, and playing with my brass quintet in every nursing home and mental institution within a 50-mile radius. I have very fond memories of my professors. And one of my favorite professors was Dr. Geneva Southall, who at the time was a professor of music and chair of the Afro-American Studies Department. Dr. Southall was a wonderful scholar and teacher, but very, very old school on issues of discipline and respect. None of us graduate students ever called her by her first name. That was a no-no. It was Professor Southall or Dr. G. I was her research associate for a couple of years. And to give you some idea about her discipline, I was working on something for her on this black blind composer known as Blind Tom. Previous authors considered him an idiot savant. Dr. Southall's writings made him a genius. This work was very important to her. She had me working on some transcriptions one day, and I was getting very tired. It was one of those really, really cold Minnesota days. And the Afro-American Studies Department was over on the other side of the river in the Social Science Tower. So I decided I was just going to take off. And again, it was one of those days where the snow and sleet would blow sideways. And that's in the days when we wore these very large Air Force parkas. I don't know if you're doing those anymore, with the big hood and the fur lining around the top. So I take off down the courtyard in front of the Social Science Tower. And all of a sudden, I hear this loud voice. Lester! 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 Now, I know it's her, and I've got this on, and the wind's blowing and howling, and I'm trying to act as if I don't hear her. So I'm walking along, and this guy walks up to me and taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, I think somebody's trying to get your attention." And so I turn around, and she says, "Lester, you get back in here and finish this work." And here I go walking back in. But she was a wonderful mentor, always took care of her graduate students. And I'm very proud to say that I had the privilege to study with her. Now, moving on, I want to say a few words about how the world has changed, and to sort of contrast my experience as an undergraduate with your experience here at the University of Minnesota. Earlier this year, I received a message from the president of my undergraduate school asking me if I would consider being inducted into the university's Hall of Distinction, which is the highest award the institution bestows on an alumnus. Now, this is how the world has changed. And let me say that my experience is a direct contrast with that invitation. When I was an undergraduate in Little Rock, Arkansas, or when I was still in high school in Little Rock, Arkansas, looking to go to college that following fall, this is in 1965, all of the schools in Arkansas were segregated. Black students went to one school, white students went to another school. The kind of multiculturalism and diversity that I see in this audience did not exist in the South during those times. So I decided to go to Arkansas Polytechnic College, which was a white university. I was the first African-American student to live on the campus. This is the boon when higher education institutions in Arkansas were growing in size. I was the only student on campus who didn't have a roommate. Right? Oh, I had a good time, no roommate. All right, don't feel sorry for me on that one. But it was tough because here we had a clash of cultures. Me coming from an all-black high school in Little Rock, in classes with white students who had never had a conversation with a black person. I had to walk to class with everybody, because if I walked across campus by myself, people would run to the windows in the classrooms and in the dorms and use the N-word. One night I woke up and my dorm door was on fire. Back in those days, when people smoked in residence halls and used these Zippo lighters that you had to buy the fluid in the can, they would squirt the fluid under the door and then light it, and so the whole door would just erupt in flames. So here I am crawling out of the first floor window in my dorm. Now, what kind of way is that to spend your freshman year? Okay? The year after Martin Luther King was killed, in 1969, by that time, there were 25, 26, 7 African-American students on the campus, and we decided we were going to have a one-year commemoration of his assassination. The local Klan decided they wanted to disrupt those proceedings. Here comes the change. The rest of the students on the campus joined us in that celebration because they knew that Martin Luther King stood for something. They may not have understood all that he lived for, but they understood that the 25 of us were very sincere about this, and they came to our assistance and support. Okay? So sort of contrast that with your experience here at the University of Minnesota. Okay? And I often tell students, we all live in the same world. The kinds of things that you experience, all of us of this generation experience many of the same things. We may have more experience, life experience than most of you, but we all experience the same things. Moving on. This is your very special day. You celebrate your accomplishments, and we as a community salute you for your successes. You have not only survived, but you have thrived. Now, some of the previous speakers said this, and I don't think you should forget it. There are many, many people whose shoulders you stand on. When I consider the fact that my mother's grandfather was a slave, and I can talk to my mother about his experience as a slave, and to think how we have come through that period. And while things may not be perfect, they are different. Some would say they're better. I'm saying they are different. Our challenges are different. And the one thing that will help us meet and overcome those challenges, that one thing is your education. I don't expect any one of you in any succeeding or subsequent generations to have to endure the things that my generation endured with regard to issues of race, ethnicity, and difference. You can move to the next step. And the way you can move to that step is to use the tools, the skills, the creativity, the innovative notions that you have about life. Those things that you picked up during the time you were here at the University of Minnesota. You're about to step into the future, your future, our future. As I tell my 3 sons, I'm counting on them to be successful, if for no other reason but to pay my Social Security. So they can pay us all that money back that we spent educating them. And I'm not going to be much longer because, I don't want you all to be saying, we wanted to get on with our own show, and this man came from Michigan and, kept us here forever. As I look back on my days here at the university and talk about change, and I talk about change because that's sort of what I do as an ethnomusicology. I study musical change, right? And so when I'm thinking about you, I'm thinking about that change. And by the way, this was an ethnomusicologist's delight to hear world music and dance being an integral part of this very important occasion. I should have said that at the beginning. I want to congratulate all the performers for the fine work they did. But when I was here, for example, there were no computers. I typed my dissertation 5 times. That's why I have arthritis in my left hand. Change. I never dreamed growing up in Arkansas that a man of color or a person of color would be president of the United States. And by the way, you know, the University of Michigan has one up on you because you have to settle for me as a speaker. We have Barack Obama for our commencement this year. Sorry, you beat us on the football field. We can beat you with our commencement addresses. Without a doubt, you will be afforded many opportunities, but at the same time, you will face many challenges. Everyone will not be waiting for you with open arms. And you know, one of the things you have to understand, young people, is that the world won't wait for you. And I tell students at Michigan, you know, you have to understand that cars don't always stop for you in the real world. You know, they walk out in front of cars and so forth, and you know, on their iPhones and all this stuff, not even look up. Cars are not going to stop for you all the time. So get off the iPhones and the iPods and look around before you cross the street, okay? Your degree is important, but it should not be the only tool in your toolbox. That is your toolbox for success. You will need to have much more. Now, those of you who had these really high grade point averages, congratulations, all right? But when you're in that interview session and the interviewer says, oh, you had wonderful grades, what else did you do? Okay? At the University of Michigan, when we went to the Supreme Court to defend our use of affirmative action in our admissions process, we came back and created a holistic admissions process where we look at things like extracurricular activities, co-curricular activities, what kind of volunteer work did you do in high school? What are all these things that make you up as a real person? How much engagement did you have with your community? You know, did you do anything beyond just study? And so to you, I'm saying you need to have this holistic approach to your lives. Okay? Continue to do those things. Continue to be active in your communities. Continue to perpetuate your cultures. That's important. Identity. Maintain it. Now, let me wind this up by saying a few things. I was going to give you all these little pointers about social justice and networking, but you know, when I ad-lib things, and I should point out the fact that I come from a long line of Baptist ministers, and so this is why I'm getting a little long-winded here, but I do want to say something to the parents. Over these next few days surrounding graduation activities, you'll hear a lot of speakers say numerous times that you parents are now relieved of all your responsibilities of clothing, housing, and feeding your students. Not true. Let me speak from experience and say that they will continue to need your advice and encouragement, but it will take on an even more meaningful role as they begin to make it your role in order for them to make it through life. For many of you graduates, your parents will continue to counsel you about decisions related to graduate and professional school, employment, marriage, children, and so forth. And my own experience has been no different. Again, I come from a family of 9 children. So, you know, there was no fried chicken left on the platter at an evening meal. I remember my father's counsel on matters of life. And he was very blunt in the way he spoke to my siblings and me. When I graduated from high school, my father called me in. You know, Rusty was talking about her father, and he sat me down, and I knew, and especially when he had the Bible to the side, that it was going to be one of those, oh boy. Anyway, he says, son, you've done very well. I'm very proud of you. You've emerged as a wonderful musician. You had great grades in high school, and you're doing something very daring by going to that school, and where you will be the only African-American student there. Of course, back then he said colored student. But he says, you know, I have 9 children here. So here's $100. I need that bed. And at the time, at Arkansas Polytechnic College, now don't laugh too loud, okay? My first semester in college, tuition was $90 a semester, and room and board was $56 a month. And I still had a student loan. Now, parents, let me share one other little story with you about your children and leaving the nest. My predecessor in this position, Charles D. Moody, and his wife, Christella, lived right down the street from where I live in Ann Arbor. And Chris Moody said to her sons, when you graduate college, you have 1 month to find a job. And so the youngest boy, Cameron, who was, you know, the youngest, the privileged, the baby, so on and so forth, didn't quite heed his mother's advice. And so after graduating from college, he came back to town and he sat at home. You know, he'd get up and read the paper and have breakfast and so forth. So Chris, along the way, reminded him of the fact that he needed to find a job. So on the 30th day, Cameron comes downstairs and there's no chair at the table. And he says, Mom, where's the chair? She said, didn't I tell you that you had 30 days to find a job? No more meals, and I've actually packed some of your bags. Now, Cameron was a smart guy. He went on to find a job within the next 2 weeks, and a very fine job now. He's actually vice president of his company. So parents, I'm not asking you to use the tactics of my father or the Moody's, but at some point, we have to wean these folks. They have to stand on their own feet. And as I said before, the best way they can stand on their own feet is with this University of Minnesota degree. So sometimes I think it is we older folks, parents and grandparents, teachers and mentors, who are the most moved by events like this. But it is you, the graduates, who are the most excited, and you have earned every right to be so. You've waited a long time and worked hard. You feel the great relief of being done. You want to shout words of adulation. You may be eager to go on to graduate school or professional school, enter the workforce, or you may even want to relax for a while, but don't relax too long. I hope your experiences at this great university, your Minnesota education has taught you that nothing is guaranteed, but that a great many things are possible through hard work and perseverance. I hope you enter the world with a strong belief in opportunity and the courage to take advantage of the opportunities that lie before you. Today you join people who have gone before you, people who created a groundswell of opportunity for you and others to follow. This community of people carries the distinction of being Minnesota graduates, and they are overjoyed to have you join their works. I often mention the thoughtful words of my mother-in-law. And I say, fellows, one wise thing to do, once you're married, pay attention to what your mother-in-law says, right? And she said this, many things can be taken from you, but no one can take away your education. It is one of the most valuable things that you possess. And I think these are the wise words of a wise woman. So as you leave to do great things, I know that your professors and mentors have enjoyed seeing you all mature to become the leaders you now are. It is now your time. So go forth and do well. With gratitude and respect, I congratulate you.
I'd like to introduce Patrick Troop, the Director of the Multicultural Center of Academic Excellence, who will speak about the significance of the stole that we are bequeathing. Y'all really just had to get all the big words out on me today, huh? That we are bequeathing to the graduates today.
Thank you, Crystal. The awarding of the stole is a tradition first introduced here at the University of Minnesota by the African American Learning Resource Center some years ago. They honored their graduates with stoles fashioned after the traditional kente cloth. In keeping with that tradition, the stole you will receive today is patterned after kente cloth and has been hand-woven in Ghana, Africa. The beginnings of weaving in Africa date back to about 3000 BC. According to ancient stories, people learned the art of weaving by observing a spider weaving a web. Traditionally, the cloths are woven primarily by men. However, women play an important role in sewing and marketing the cloths. Kente is more than just a cloth. It is a visual representation of history, oral tradition, social and spiritual values. The kente cloth is reserved for important and special social functions. We consider graduation one of the highest honors a person can achieve and have chosen a design reflecting the values we consider important. There are 4 symbols on the stole. 1, the endless knot representing the interconnectedness of life. The second is the African symbol of 2 lizards sharing the same stomach, portraying unity. The third is an American Indian symbol of 4 arrows symbolizing people coming from all directions, united in wisdom. And finally, there are the words, University of Minnesota, symbolic of excellence, hard work, research, public service, and we hope a good time. We give you this stole and hope that it will help you to always remember and embrace connection, unity, and wisdom in your life. We also want this stole to honor your academic achievement, and we encourage you to wear the stole to your upcoming graduation ceremony and other occasions that you deem special. So congratulations and best wishes to all of you.